Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Melissa. Today we're going to talk about whether or not you should start on a large engine displacement motorcycle as a beginner. Yes or no. So this isn't gonna be me talking you out of or into anything. I'm gonna lay out the facts and the realities, costs involved, etc. And then I will share my opinion at the end, but this video is not intended to tell you what to do, but to simply give you the facts so that you can make an informed decision for yourself. So without further ado, let's get right into it. First of all, I do just want to note there is a huge difference between a high engine displacement bike like this Goldwing versus this Ducati. So I'm going to be more talking about sport style bikes because that's what I have experience in versus any type of adventure or cruiser Harley type motorcycle. I'm going to be talking more about this. It's like comparing a Chevy 3500 to a Ferrari. Like they're both powerful machines, but they have two completely different purposes in mind. So again, just keep that in mind as we go forward. So first things first, if you want to get a large engine displacement bike as your very first motorcycle, the cost of entry to get into the hobby slash sport is going to be a lot higher than if you get a smaller bike to start out with. So for example, if we take this Ducati that I'm showing, which is the 2023 Panigale V4R, the MSRP on that in the USA is like $44,000. So if you want something like that, it's gonna grant you the wish of going fast AF, but it's gonna be an obnoxiously large price to get into when you can get something that is a smaller engine displacement for a lot less. So you can expect a leader bike to cost you more than likely at least $10,000. That of course is absolutely not true. Everywhere you go, it really depends on your location, what does the market look like, supply and demand, all of the laws of economics, right? So just keep that in mind as you get into things, is that more than likely you're gonna be closer to that $10,000 mark to get a larger engine displacement bike like that. And I don't know about you, but me personally, I don't just have like $10,000 to $15,000 just sitting in my bank account. So unless you want a monthly payment, you are gonna be saving for a while to be able to afford that, most likely. You're more than likely going to get a loan to do that. So you're gonna have a monthly payment on that. You're gonna have a lien on your bike from the bank for that, which means that your insurance on the thing is probably gonna be higher. And out of curiosity, if you're watching this, more than likely you're not gonna get the Panigale, but just for fun, I did get a quote online from Progressive. Here's my rate. So there's that. Another thing with a larger engine displacement bike is that they are just physically gonna be heavier. So really depending on who you are, if you are like a big, like 6'4" burly guy, it's probably not gonna be very heavy to you. But someone like me who is 5'6" and my weight fluctuates anywhere from 137 to 141, it's pretty darn heavy. When I got my Ninja 400 last year, I thought that was heavy. I'm a lot stronger than I was back then. So a leader bike, absolutely not. Too heavy for me, not comfortable. But again, that's just me and my size. And just to clarify, I'm talking about just like maneuvering the bike around, not actually riding it per se. Once you have the momentum and you're up and going, it's not that big of a deal if you do have a heavier bike, but it's being able to not let it tip over. If you're not strong enough to do that, it might be a point against getting a leader bike. So this is the big one that everyone is going to tell you why you should not get one. And it's because a leader bike really doesn't have any room for your ego. So this doesn't apply to everyone. Some people who are interested in a large engine displacement bike like the Ducati are more thrill-seeking. They're not exactly looking to become a well-rounded rider. They just kind of want to go fast, which is, if that's you, cool. There's nothing exactly wrong with that. But the problem lies within, if you are on something like a Ninja 400, it is way more forgiving than a leader bike is. I have heard many stories of something similar happening to this, but supposedly there was a guy who worked for a dealership and they were trying to convince this guy who had never been on a motorcycle to not buy this, I don't know what the bike was, but it was a leader bike. They're like, oh, you've never ridden, what about the 650? You know, this is still plenty of power for you to get into riding. And the guy was like adamant that, no, this is what I want, you're gonna sell it to me. So they sold it to him, and supposedly he didn't make it like 2 blocks before running it into a brick wall. So that's what I mean by it is not forgiving. And unless you respect the machine and don't rush things, there's a possibility that you can be fine, but there is a very real reality that I want you to be cognizant of, that if you make a mistake, it could cost you more than a broken bone or 2. Another thing I wanted to talk about is just to check in with yourself and ask yourself why you exactly want to get this big of a bike to start out with, just to make sure that you're coming at it from the right place, right? Because we already talked about, if you're coming into it with a big ego, all you want is the clout, right? You're probably not gonna have a very successful time. There is a saying that if you're new to the motorcycle world, you will hear it plenty of times after I tell you, but it is better to ride a slow bike fast than a fast bike slow. It's almost disappointing to have such a powerful machine like a leader bike out on the street when you can't use it to its full potential out there. You're probably gonna be hanging around in 1st, 2nd, maybe 3rd gear, but that's it. You're really not gonna use 4th, 5th, and 6th because it's too much. Even in a track setting, you're more than likely, again, as a new rider, you're not even gonna max out that bike's potential on the track. There's a lot of very experienced riders that don't max out their leader bike on the track. So as long as you are fine with that and you're fine hanging out in the low gears, great. So we have all of our facts laid out. Let's talk about what I actually think, if you're interested in my opinion now. Before you say anything in the comments, let me finish what I'm gonna say, and then you can type from there, okay? So just give me a second. Overall, there seems to be online and in person sometimes a just regurgitated answer that by no means should anyone ever start on a leader bike. I do actually think that there are people out there that starting on a leader bike is just fine. However, the vast majority of the general population should not start on a leader bike. There is a very small pool of people, like the example that I brought up earlier. This huge, like, I don't know, 6'4" guy, 275 pounds, might need that large of an engine displacement to start out with, right? And who happens to have the right mindset in it, right? Or maybe they have a little experience driving a manual car, I don't know. There's gonna be a very, very small amount of people. Even at that, even if you are that big burly guy, I still would not recommend it. I would get you on a 750 before I put you on a leader bike any day, because you are a brand new rider. It is way better to get a firm foundation set up on something that you can go through all the gears on and learn on and make mistakes on. And when you think about it, you know, there really isn't another area of life that at least I can think of that this would be an appropriate thing to do as a beginner. Like, we don't take a 15-year-old who wants to get their permit and put them in a NASCAR car. We put them in the family's old blue Chrysler van that I had. Same thing goes for horses. You can buy the $50,000 show horse, but you can't even ride the lesson horse at the barn. So you can do it, but why? So while I and no one else can stop you from getting one, and who knows, it might be just fine. It might just be fine. But there are just so many things that can go wrong, and the risk involved just doesn't really make sense when you think about not only just the financial costs, but your well-being costs as well. I would honestly give yourself a chance to build a solid foundation on a smaller engine displacement bike and then get the leader bike. You can always sell your 400, your 650, your 750 before you get a bigger bike. So overall, it's up to you, but I really would not recommend it. So now that you're either nodding your head in agreement with me, or you are angrily typing a comment on how I don't know what the heck I'm talking about, the video is over. Oh, I'm so excited to see what you guys say, because this is definitely or can be, a very controversial topic that people get heated about. So I am eager to see what you guys have to say. And if you were a new rider that you started on a leader bike, I honestly would love to hear about your experience. So definitely drop that in the comments, whether it was good or bad. I hope it was good. In addition to your comments, be sure to like this video, give it a thumbs up. And of course, I would love to have you along for the joyride. So click that subscribe button and make sure that you click the bell notification so that you never miss a ride with us. Thanks again, guys, and I'll see you next time.